finishing a 4-year degree at UFF and an ROTC program there, and that was in 2006. So he went right in and he got lots of training. He was a lieutenant, of course, first lieutenant as an officer. He started right away, and he got 2 years of training to become a tank commander. His dream was to serve his country. He really wanted to go overseas. He wanted to be in action, so to speak, and do the duty and serve. And he did so. He, at the end of a tour from a company, the 1st Cav, he served as a lieutenant, replacing a lieutenant who had just been killed that summer. So he only had 4 months there before he returned home, and then he was killed 8 months later. There's nothing worse. There's nothing worse. And I just think it's every mother's nightmare. Every mother's nightmare is to get that knock of their child in the military. And as soon as I saw the 2 officers, I think I threw about a 45-minute tantrum. And then went into shock. Because my first thought was, there was no way this could have happened. He just got back from Iraq. He should be safe in the States. I was just so mortified and overwhelmed, and went into shock. And from there, I was just very numb. It took Jack, 45 minutes to calm me down by holding me and helping me breathe. And from then on, for the next, I would say, 2 years, I was pretty numb, trying to manage all of it. But I don't think there's any worse news, and I think that's what most people say to me when they say, I can't imagine, I just can't imagine. And those are the only words that any mother ever says to me about the whole ordeal. And it is hard to imagine, even today. It's almost like a silent or a shadow of denial that goes on about, is this really true? Did it really happen? And especially the way it happened so violently. When you lose a child so violently, it's very, very difficult. So from then on, I knew I just had to keep stepping forward, because there really was no other choice except to go into the snake pits of hell and live there, doing nothing about it, not making a difference, not healing. And the only way I knew to heal was to try to do something helpful. Actually, it was a year after Bart died, and it was a brainstorm of my husband. But I thought this would be good. This would be a good way to serve, because it was, believe it or not, it was the soldier that killed him that gave me this inspiration to have the foundation, because that soldier was the person I feared Bart would become when he was little, because he was a very, very difficult child to raise. And I knew that my career path had changed because of him, and it had led me to a place of finding new ways that were so helpful in helping children to manage behavior, self-control, take responsibility, all of that, because the old methods weren't working. Bart could have been that same person, and he wasn't that same person because of the discipline, or the conscious discipline that he had, or the parenting that he had, and the emotional strategies that we used to help him to become more aware and to be able to manage himself. And I realized that this killer was Jody, was a little boy inside that was hurting and calling for help, just like Bart. And so I had forgiven him right from the get-go, and to this day I still don't feel angry at him. It comes from empathy, I mean, I think the understanding that I think Jody came out and killed Bart in a reactive, unconscious state, and when he realized what he had done, he killed himself. So that I had empathy for that immediately, because it's everything I've always taught. It's everything I've always taught to every teacher. It's everything I've always taught in every camp situation to kids when I'm helping them with their emotional states. It's seeing the best in that person, in that moment. So it's empathy. It comes from that space of empathy and understanding that I don't think you have to forgive if you don't judge. So the judgment was never there. The judgment was there with the Army. The judgment was there with everybody else that could have helped prevent it. But Jody was in a state that he was not conscious. He was not conscious of what he was doing. He was supposed to be discharged the next day. He had planned to start a business. So you have to wonder about that. You have to wonder, well, is this a bad person? Is this a horrible person? Is this a no good person? No, this is a person who completely lost it. The primary goal of the foundation is to help those little Jodies in the world. But we want to help children who are young, where it often gets missed. It just gets missed. You know, we kind of push them on, this child who's hurting, or this child who's hurting, and this child who's hurting. We just kind of move them on and say, you're going to handle this, or we just tell them it's okay, it's okay. And we don't help them to really manage and cope. You know, we were living in a world of a culture of anxiety and perfection that really wants to happy people up all the time. And so our foundation is about really helping those Jodies of the world to prevent, if nothing else, to prevent these kinds of responses. That began the drive. You know, we thought, well, let's help kids that can't help themselves. And there are so many children in the military who are hurting. They're hurting because of loss and separation and deployment. And there are also other children that suffer from loss and separation, not necessarily deployment, but through divorce or through death or loss, some traumatic event. And so we thought, well, this would be something that would be helpful, because I truly know that Bart had forgiven him too. They can donate to the foundation that helps to support youth camps and helps to also help educators learn some of the skills to help children, either in classrooms or to be able to donate money for our program right now. Is a big part of the big one of our missions is to get daddy dolls from the Hug a Hero Foundation for children whose parents are deployed. We want them to be connected with their parents, and this is a great way to be connected, so that when the dads return or the moms return, their young children actually can recognize them and know that that's their parent. Children in classrooms, we want to help, and youth camps that help children manage their emotional states when they can go to camp in the summertime, and also work on some of the feelings they have around some of their just everyday issues of emotional challenges that they have. I think the message that I want is I want to walk the talk of being conscious of who I am, and knowing that what has happened has happened. It has not ended my life. It has not ended others, and people going through tragedies like this can handle it and cope, and you can do it. And the most powerful way to do it is through helping others. That's where the true healing from the inside comes from, is knowing that this tragedy now is going to be turned into something of a triumph. So if we can make it something worthy, then it all is good. Say he's proud, and it was all perfect, that all is well, and that we can do it. It's part of the path. That's what I think he'd say. Go big or go home. He never did anything that wasn't 110%. That means never stop. Never stop at trying your best. He had a saying, and his a quoted saying that it was, "Dreams shall never die. Only self-uncertainty will kill them." So this message would be certain that all is well, and do it big and make a difference, because that's what he really wanted to do, was make a difference. So we're doing it for him. We're taking the baton and going big and going home.